G'day, Hawks fans from around the world. Welcome to Talking Hawks. We're connecting Hawks fans from Australia, around the world. We love intelligent footy conversation, and tonight's an example. Bit of fun, but obviously supporting the brown and gold. Here we are, 17th position, 2021. Chris, Reese, welcome.
Howdy.
G'day, Matt.
Get down to business, I guess. We're not going to reflect on the game on the weekend. We're here to talk about the mid-season draft.
Straight into it tonight. So we have, look, it's an interesting position the Hawks are in. Let's say it, in a rebuild. We've got a mid-season draft. So it's a little bit of a different, perhaps, piece to the formula in terms of a rebuild and what we look at in terms of this year versus the years to come. It's a really fascinating position for us to be in. And look, welcome fans. Let us know in the comments where you're tuning in from tonight. And look, Chris, Reese, Chris, give me your initial thoughts. Reese is the guru. He's been studying. I don't think he's shaved for about 4 months because he's been studying the preseason draft. Chris, you haven't shaved for about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
What's going on?
So my thoughts are we're here. We're not looking for a quick fix or a top up just to see us through finals or whatnot. We're here for a long-term vision, trying to find a player that would sort of get a sneaky pick in before the end of season national draft and just top up that list. So that's my sort of point of view on where we're going to be at. And it's just a matter of identifying where we're lacking the most and where we can make the most beneficial selection leading into the national draft, I guess.
Building a list, Race, it's an interesting proposition. What are your thoughts initially?
Yeah, second most of what Chris said. I think the Hawks at pick 2 need to not identify necessarily the best kid out there, but the best fit for what the Hawks need, filling a hole, not just for the next sort of 6 months, but for hopefully 200 games plus. And with pick 2, we're in a great position to do that. And looking forward to see how we go. Yeah.
So, Reece, you've been studying this for quite a few weeks now. Why don't you give us a quick overview, the thumbnail, the lowdown on the mid-season draft in the AFL 2021?
Yep, so the mid-season draft is a way for AFL clubs to top up their list. And by topping up your list, you either have players that retire from the beginning of round 1 to the mid-season draft, or players that are put on the long-term injury list. For example, with the Hawks, we have a spot because Jonathan Patton isn't on our list anymore, even though because he's not on the list anymore, we have that spot opened up, much like when Tom Scully wasn't on our list anymore and we were able to get Lockie Bramble. We're able to take our pick in. There are certain ways that clubs can get picks in, the most famous one being Sean Grigg from Richmond retiring that allowed them to get a pick that ended up being Marlon Pickett. And if we could get a player that could have that sort of impact, I think we'd be very happy.
I'd love to be going into a granny to feature a Marlon Pickett, but maybe not this year.
No, perhaps not the grand final that we're all dreaming of, but over 600 people have nominated. They're expecting about 28 picks to be taken. And at this stage, Hawthorn have 1 pick at this stage at pick 2, but we'll discuss whether we can get a second and what we can do with it a bit later on. Players can apply for 6-month or 18-month contracts. Of course, a 6-month would take them to the end of this year, and you'd be looking at an older player, someone that could fit that sort of role, which wouldn't be what the Hawks are looking for. You can do an 18-month contract, which of course would take you to the end of 2022, and these are for your younger players, your 18, 19, 20-year-olds that just want that bit of stability and able to get onto a list. And in the case of Jai Newcombe, which we'll get to, you can have special terms, but we'll talk about that a bit later on.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, that one. We've got a few comments here. Yeah, Peter, look, there's a little bit of mail. I'm putting a little bit of mail on maybe, but look, there is some mail tonight. So, look, North settling into that first position in terms of the draft. That's a given. What have we heard, fellas?
Yeah, it's looking like pick 1's clearly Jacob Edwards. He held back for quite a while, I believe, before he finally nominated. But, he was nominated basically, tip to go top 10 of the national draft. But, put his hand up to be taken now. So for whatever reason, whether North has persuaded him to enter in now, but if we had the first pick, or if he dropped down to us, I'm sure we'd be taking Jacob Edwards ahead of anyone else.
What's the take from you both? We are looking at a mid-season draft for the first time. So why would a player jump in now and put their hand up for a 6 or 18-month contract versus waiting till the end of the season? Given there's some guys that are going to be mature age that are really wanting to crack anytime they get an opportunity. But what are your thoughts?
I'll jump in.
Go, Chris.
I think it gives them an opportunity to train with an AFL list. I guess they get that opportunity to, understand what's involved in playing at AFL level, and it just gives them that upper leg to enter into next year with that little bit more development underneath them. Onto you, Reece.
Yeah, the players that are expected to go, especially if you're doing a lot of reading, which I certainly have over the last couple of weeks, is players are the 22, sort of the awkward age as it's called, so sort of 22 to 26-year-olds that either want to get back onto a list, which is a guy like a Nathan Freeman, or someone that perhaps has been passed over in a couple of drafts, but thinks that they can contribute now, will put their name forward. Whereas when you get to the end of season draft, they're your typical 18 or 19-year-olds that are the best young crop, and that's where teams go. So, yeah, the mid-season draft is purely for those who, or it's almost out of spite in a way. Sort of a few people have told me that I'm not worthy of a crack, but I've got some form behind me in the first part of the year, and I'm ready to show the competition what I've got. So I'm a big fan of the mid-season draft for sure.
Love it, Mailman. So some people telling you that it's great. So look, you've even got a little bit of mail on North. So Chris, why don't you give us a quick recap on their thoughts? You heard from one of the North Melbourne staff members this week, but then Reece can come home with some mailman delivery.
Yeah, their head recruiters was on a podcast recently I listened to, and heavily sort of poked the bear in towards Jacob Edwards and what their thoughts were. So it was pretty hard to deny that's the direction they're going. You can't blame them. He looks like he's got the ability to play long-term AFL. So, yeah, that was pretty clear cut from my point of view, listening to that interview. So, look, we're just speculating on that, and the rest of it is speculating on what we'll do with pick 2. Seems like a bit of a 2-horse race. We'll see which way we're going to go, unless they really surprise us and go left centre, which Hawthorn do occasionally.
Yeah, well, Reece is the mailman tonight, and you don't have to review sources here, Reece, but what have you got for us?
North are taking Jacob Edwards. It is really that simple. I mean, they did have interest in Jackson Callow in the preseason when he came and trained with Hawthorn, so there's no doubt that they've probably kept an eye on him, but I think the Jacob Edwards fits there. We can start this kid at centre half forward to help Nick Larkey, and when Todd Goldstein eventually retires, he's a veteran now, the kid will be able to play both roles. He is the epitome of what North Melbourne need, and frankly, if they don't get him, number 1, we'll have him, and number 2, thank you very much, North. They're going to get Jacob Edwards at 1. So he's sort of off our discussion after this, of course, after this explanation, and we move on with what we're doing with pick 2. So, Jacob Edwards will be a North Melbourne player for sure.
All right, so then it's over to the Hawthorn Football Club that we all love. What do we need, fans? Tell us. Tommy thinks pace. What else is it we're looking for? And does it need to be an immediate impact player? Or do we choose a player that we can sit on, nurture, develop, and we need for the future? So Tommy's come back again, half forward as well. That he missed a lot of the ball. So look,
we might have seen that player play his first game on the weekend. Josh Morris fits that identity real well. But anyway, yes, we could use 2 of them anyway.
Yeah, look, it's different thoughts on who we need and what we need. But carry on, Chris.
I think my number 1 that we are lacking is a good quality ball user, whether it be a half forward or a midfielder, a winger, whatever. I just want somebody who can use the ball and hit targets all the time. We're just not hitting enough targets at the moment. So that's it for me. If you got someone with speed and is a good ball user, bring it on.
So be more specific. What are you saying? Is it a midfielder? Is it a winger? What do we need?
Oh, look, it's across the board. Yep, I'd take it mainly. Oh, look, if you got a midfielder that's that quality, that's what I'm after. But looks like we're looking forward, as we're talking about. The national draft is coming up. Doesn't seem to be a lot of tools, good quality tools in the draft. So I think we're going to be targeting to sneak a good tool now and bank on the plethora of mids that'll be available come national draft.
So, Reece, you've had a look at the end of season as well, just a little bit of a sneaky. So, as far as where we're positioned and the looks of this upcoming draft, just fans, bear with us. We've got to consider what's the shorter term, but the longer term build here. What's this end of season draft looking like, Reece?
Yeah, so at this stage, using the information that Nick Dacos is going to Collingwood, and it wouldn't surprise me if North bid on him at 1, but if we count Nick Dacos as pick 1, because he looks to be the best kid in the country, we would currently then have pick 3. It would go the Collingwood's pick, North at pick 2, then us, and then we would move on to 21 and 22. Gold Coast still have a concession pick at the end of the first round, so they're 19. North would then go again at 20 and then 21, and we have Collingwood's second round pick, so that would be at this stage 22. As Chris said, this isn't a draft that's screaming out tools. Like, we had 3 of the first 4 picks last year in Jamara Ugle-Hagan, Riley Thilthorpe, and Logan McDonald go in the first 4 picks, or the first 5 picks, sorry. So it's this year isn't the same. We've got some really good quality midfielders, especially in South Australia and Western Australia. There isn't a lot of key backs or key forwards, and whilst there is an argument we may need a key back, 2 of those 3 picks are definitely going to be ball winners. So with pick 2, I can understand that the Hawks might want to go with a tall prospect, someone that we can develop, almost like Ned Reeves, who has been on the list for a bit and is now coming in and doing good things. And given the fact that 3 of our sort of 4 ruckmen on the list are over the age of 30, if that's a path that we want to go down, it would make a lot of sense.
Great recap. So for mine, look, the fans are commenting. Let's throw to the fans in a moment. But for mine, it's an interesting dilemma that the Hawthorn Football Club has, which is kind of a nice position to be in, albeit where we're placed. We've got some. We're looking to the end of season picks 3, 21, 22. How it looks like it's a solid midfield kind of group that we've got to pick from. So do we look tall now? So let's throw to the fans. So we've got Frank. Frank needs a power forward and a midfielder.
Double dipping.
Look, we all would love these sorts, but there we go. So Scrimmer, as far as your comments, Chris, around good ball use. There we go. The era of the left-footer draft picks. Geez, where has that gone? Hawks just lefty. That was almost a pre. What do you call it?
Yeah, it was almost a prerequisite. Yeah,
prereq. Thanks. That's a word.
That's right. But just on that, Matt, if I can, and this will lead into probably a bit of a rant for 3 of us. We tried that in the draft with Braden Campbell. We bid on him, and Sydney took him instead, and we didn't complain that was legal. So why the hell are they implying that we're doing things that are illegal? Sydney. Of all the clubs to lodge a complaint that we're rorting the rules, it's Sydney.
Mm-hmm.
Back away now.
Oh.
Interesting. I'd like to hear more about what actually the AFL have come out with. But so Sydney's complained about Jai Newcombe's lodgement for this draft. He seems to be out of, I think, the 12 Box Hill Hawks that have nominated for this mid-season draft. He's the one who's put some special conditions in on his contract, and it's sort of pushing it out of the reach of all the other clubs and falling into Hawthorn's hands. So I think Sydney wasn't too happy that we're manipulating the draft per se.
look, and they've put the spotlight on it. And so other clubs, are going to jump on board here, which is, look, Reece, you touched on it on our last show, that Carlton's also got to play sort of in a similar position, sort of asking for special conditions. Look, this is really disappointing. And I really hope the Hawks can get through and navigate this, because we know who's under our nose. Sam Mitchell looks after the youth development at the Hawthorn Football Club, coaching Box Hill. I think, I like that they're trying to do something out of the box here. It seems like, I don't know if Jai's our second, if we've got a second pick, I don't know if we're going to take him second pick, to be honest. But look, let's see. Any other thoughts?
My conspiracy theory there, Matt.
Oh, sorry. Carry on.
All right, mate, don't worry. No, because so for those that aren't aware, so Jai Newcombe and one other player, Michael Knoll, who was taken by the Swans in a mid-season draft 2 years ago, I believe. He's now playing in South Australia and is expected to go to Gold Coast to help their ruck stocks. He had special terms as well. There was a paperwork problem, which means he's now had to go standard terms, so 6 or 18. I think he went 6 because he's 27, but that's not what we're here for. So Jai Newcombe is now the only player who's gone with special terms. Now, rumor is that those special terms are a 4-year deal on 100 to 150K a year, which for clubs without a lot of salary cap space wouldn't be able to provide him. Now, the biggest thing to understand here is that Hawthorn did not write the mid-season draft rules. This is only allowed, there's only allowed to be a thing because the AFL has told 18 clubs that you're allowed to do this. So I just want to make that perfectly clear for anyone who there might be any confusion like that. But my conspiracy theory is here, boys. What if Jai's done that? So not only do not other clubs take him, neither do we. He stays at Box Hill, and then we pick him up at the end of season draft, because he's not going to go first round because the clubs have already got their draft board of the best 18 and 19-year-old kids. The Hawks don't have a third-round pick, so maybe we are gambling on him not going there, but we do have a fourth, and it's going to be really early. And I think at this stage, that fourth-round pick's going to be about, I'll do quick math in my head, I think it'll be about 57 if we take into account some father-sons and all that nonsense. So let's just say 60. If he's still there at pick 60 at the end of the year, we'd more than certainly get him there. He'd be less of a risk than, some other pick 60s or further in the draft, unless your name's Chris Grant, who went at 103 or something. But that definitely could be something that Hawthorn are doing. And whilst it's legal, that's perfectly okay. And we wish Jai nothing but the best. But as long as he gets to the Hawks some way, I don't think the Hawks will be complaining in the slightest.
Look, I think that they've gone an interesting route to this. I really hope we can weather the next few days and that the Hawks can get their man there. Look, end of season, we don't have the genius of Graham Wright anymore. We did hear about the potential of Essendon, as far as a Harry Mackay. There's a bit of an interest, rumoured to have something in the vicinity of the 900s a year on the table for Harry.
Throw the checkbook at him.
Yeah, was that over 5 years, Reece? Do you recall?
Yep.
It was. So that's an unusual offer from the Hawks, if that rumour is correct. However, we've got a few fans saying that we need some forwards. It's interesting that we might potentially be already planning for that. So, yes, we don't have Bucks and Pelch anymore, Tommy, but let's see what the Hawks can do, because there's always been genius in the Hawthorn Football Club. So, my question to the fans and to you both is, do we go hardcore at a player that under the age of 23 with a view to building towards our next flag and having someone in their prime to help us challenge? Or are we open to having someone over the age of 23? Because that, for mine, give us 2 to 3 years to get to a nice position. You've got a 23-year-old or under that has got a few years under the belt in the system ready to contribute.
Not for me. Yeah. If you're 23, you've got to be an absolute gun. And I'm just not seeing it available in this mid-season draft. If it was available, I'd consider it. But yeah, it's just not there at the moment. And we sort of brushed over this sort of our pick 2, our 2-horse race between Ned Moyle and Jackson Callow. So for those who were guessing or haven't been listening to the media, They're the two that we're looking at. Ned Moyle's been linked to us more so than Jackson, and Jackson Callow did his pre-season with us, and we declined to take him and took Lockie Bramble instead to fill our last spot on the list. So, look, he's killing it in the sample, and if he's on our list, I'd be more than happy, I think. But I think Ned Moyle's going to fill the hole a lot better for our list long term.
Well, Jackson Callow playing with Norwood Red Leagues with one Paul Puopolo, who we'd love to have on the show, Poppy, when you're ready, is maybe he's got a little bit of Hawthorn intel. Maybe Callow, that was part of the in. It could be interesting. Could this be one of those Hawthorn last-minute manoeuvres that no one saw coming? Is Callow in the sights? Is he in our crosswire? Cross. What do you call it?
Crosshairs.
Crosshairs. Thank you.
Yeah, that's okay. I am, part draft guru, part thesaurus. So I'm happy to take that role on board. But yeah, Callow's definitely in our sights. And somewhat ironically, we're looking at Ned Moyle, who is an Oakley Chargers ruckman and is Collingwood's now VFL ruckman. He's played their last 3 games, averaging 10 touches and 18 hitouts. And the reports is that professionalism is off the charts, but he will be a long-term prospect. So we might take Collingwood's VFL ruckman, and Collingwood might take the guy that trained with us, in Jackson Callow. But yeah, Chris is right. It's a 2-horse race. It's between those boys for pick 2, or it's Jai, and my conspiracy theory has as much merit as flat earthers. So we'll wait and see. But I think Moyle makes a lot of sense considering our ruck, as I was saying before, our ruck, if you're doing like an NBA-style depth chart, 3 of our 4 ruckmen are over the age of 30, and I think, in all honesty, 2 of them are going to go. And I'm not sure if McAvoy's down to do the one-and-done captaincy, so perhaps Segler gets shopped around because I believe he's contracted for next year, so we'll see how that goes. Ned Moyle does make a lot of sense to me. Keep McAvoy and Reeves for the next, I think we've got 11 games we do have 11 games to go, and 22 next year. That gives them 33, and if McAvoy's done at the end of next year, then it's Reeves number 1 and Moyle number 2. That's something that that appeals to me a lot, and we can address the midfield half forward at the end of the year.
So going in for nominated for this draft, Ned Moyle, Oakley Chargers, great. So 205 centimetres, 19 years of age, reported 87 kegs. Also, there's a couple of older prospects there. Corey Gault from Swan Districts, 28 years of age, 200 centimetres, 100 kilos. Tom Downie, Williamstown Seagulls, 28, 203, 104 kilos. For mine, I just don't think we can take that punt on someone older. There's also Liam Podhajski from Calder Cannons, 18-year-old, 202 centimetres, 83 kilos. I just don't think... I'm not sold on going for a really young ruckman. I think the Hawks in the next, if it's not this year, the next year or two, maybe the end of season draft doesn't have the ruck stock that we'd like. I think we need that young 20s ruck that we just nab from another club.
If Bailey Williams is listening at West Coast, that'd be perfect. Especially with Oscar Allen re-signing. I've been big on that. So if he does come to the Hawks, you heard it here first.
Have you got a line through, Chris?
What was that, sorry?
Have you got a line through to Bailey?
Oh, I'd have to go through a few channels. But, look, he left my local club. But, his old man played at my local club. And, his old man was a gun. So, father-son, he's played a few AFL games and looks like he's got a little bit of talent. So, but with West Coast bigs, like we said, he's not getting much of a look in. And, I think he'd fit in at Hawthorn quite nicely.
Yeah, perfectly agree.
So Moyle for mine, lads, on the line. Do you go for Moyle flat out or with that second pick, or is it Jai Newcombe or someone else?
No, well, look, for those that may have heard Clarko's press conference, and just to clarify where we currently sit, we only have 1 pick at the moment, unless we choose to put another player on our long-term injury list. So the nominations there is basically Sicily or Seamus Mitchell. in saying that, Sicily did say on radio recently that he's pretty much done for the year and won't play this year. Makes sense for us to do that and take the option for a second pick. Hence why we are sort of talking about taking a second pick this mid-season draft. But yeah, for me, I'm really happy. Like you said, a few older ruckmen. I'm happy to have another dig at a second ruckman, and just gives us that little bit more flexibility if we do have an injury. Like Matt said, taking that young ruckman can take a few years to develop, but I just think it's worth the risk. And if we get backlogged with a few tools, we've got a bit of currency to trade down the track maybe.
So you're going for a young ruckman regardless. You're happy with the young ruck, Chris?
Well, for me, I'm seeing still the potential with our Jekka, Cozzy, Lewis Mitchell. I think there's enough there to work with. I don't think Jackson Callow's necessary. Happy to have him, but that just means less opportunity for the other guys, and someone's going to unfortunately miss out. So makes more sense for me to go for Moyle at this stage.
Okay, so before you jump in, Reece, I think Reeves is showing enough. Would you agree, lads, that Reeves is looking good for a long-term ruck?
I'll just jump in quickly. I think the commentators picked up on it on the weekend that he was maybe a little bit slower, and that's why he wasn't pushing down to take the forward ruck contests, and our forwards were taking the ruck contests. I don't know. If he hasn't got that endurance, then maybe we do need to potentially have a two ruckman setup going forward.
Okay. Well, look, let's see. Big boy may be around for another year or two, we'd like to think. So for mine, look, I'm still not sold on it. I don't know if Jai Newcombe is who we will want to jump in for as that second pick right now. But Reece is magically reappeared. Reece,
I'm back. I reappeared. Sorry about that, fellas.
That's all right. He had to quickly compose his thoughts. Are you thinking, is it Newcombe, Moyle, or another for that pick 2 for you?
Yeah, if we're only going in with pick 2 and it's up to me, I'm taking Ned Moyle for sure. The simple reasoning is I don't believe there's a player in this mid-season draft that he's going to make that instant impact that's going to make Hawks fans go, yeah, we're on. We're 17th, and I think needs to be some fan acceptance that we are 17th, and every decision that we make moving forward is building towards that next premiership side. Is Ned Moyle going to be a part of that team? I hope so, if he's the player that we pick up. And I don't think there's a case of, I don't think there's many bad choices at pick 2 with what's there, but Ned Moyle for mine, if him and Ned Reeves are a couple of Neds, there you go, combine well. Even in the premiership years, we had McAvoy and Hale. So even if we haven't had the two traditional ruckmen, it worked pretty well on the weekend. Reeves had a bunch of hit outs, and I think he had 6 to advantage, so he looks a goer. And for mine, I agree with Chris. Jackson Callow coming in, I think he's going to be a gun, but we've got too many tools ahead of him at this point in time, and I think that's why we went with Lockie Bramble in the preseason. And I don't understand why the Hawks are doing all these special terms with Jai Newcombe to take him at pick 2. North wouldn't be interested in him. They've got too many midfielders ahead of him. Wow. And obviously no one else is next. So
but we don't have to nominate. Reece, we don't have to nominate how many picks we want to go for until Tuesday night, isn't it?
Yes, Tuesday at 5 p.m. we have to lodge how many picks we'll take. So yes, if in between this live stream and Tuesday 5 p.m. the Hawks have an extra pick or 2, we could put Sicily and Mitchell on the list if we really want to get crazy.
Mm-hmm. So Sicily on the long-term injury list gives us potentially 2 picks.
Correct.
And most clubs, correct me if I'm wrong here, have only nominated 1 pick at this point.
Yes, they're expected 20. I think from the initial lodgings, there are 28. If someone has the list and that's incorrect, feel free to comment and let us know. But from what I understand, it is 28. So not a big number. So 602 divided by 28. I'm pretty good at math, but that's going to take me a little bit. But not a lot are going to get chosen. But if we do take a second pick, we'll get into that pretty quickly.
And Seamus Seamus Mitchell cannot be, because he's newer to the club, he cannot be put on our long-term injury list. Is that correct as far as freeing up one more spot?
No, he can. And I think the advantage to doing that, if he can't get back for the last, let's say, half a dozen games, it's not like we're going to put him on the long-term injury list and then delist the poor kid. He got drafted last season. So, it would be, and even if that was okay, that wouldn't be, to me, that's not a right thing to do. So if we wanted to put him on ice, let him attack this preseason coming with everything he's got, we could go into the draft with 3. So I think that's something that the Hawks probably have considered, but it would shock me if we didn't go with a second pick.
Yep. All right, Hawks fans. So there you go. Some initial thoughts there. We'll definitely use that one. Leaning towards Ned Moyle, Oakley Chargers, doing quite well. Probably love to see him get a few more posies for mine in the VFL at this point in time. But he's travelling nicely and he's caught the attention, and you're picking a 19-year-old with a view to what he can become. So any other thoughts from your side, boys, on, I guess, look, these top 5? Why don't you, Reece, you've been studying this and not sleeping. So outside of growing that beard, all you've been doing is studying this. So tell me, what is going on in these top 5? If we're to look elsewhere, what could it possibly look like in these top 5? Give the Hawks surprise.
If my better half's listening, I'm not sure if she is, but if she has to see one more draft thing come up on my phone, I think she's going to go mental. So apologies to her. So if we do take a second pick, and I hope I don't sound hypocritical to what I was saying before, but with the view that we've only got one pick, we can't address the midfield. If we do take a second pick, we absolutely can, and we absolutely should. We had a comment before, Tyrone Thorne, who's a pretty undersized small forward who can impact a midfield stoppage. If the fans out there want an AFL comparison, Fremantle's Liam Henry reminds me a lot of. This kid's an excitement machine. Over the last 2 of the last 3 weeks, he had a 29 disposal game playing in the midfield and dominated. And then the week after, he only played 60% game time and kicked 3. This kid, and the first of his draft notes, I've just got it here. I'll quote this. Thorne, whilst undersized, doesn't let his height get in the way, but what can get in the way is his ability to hit a forward 50 target. Yes, please. That'd be nice. For anyone who watched the Gold Coast game in its entirety, aka me, that was something that really needed to be addressed. So he's definitely one. For a midfielder, Tom Green for GWS is probably going to win the Rising Star this year with Matt Rao going out. He has a brother, Josh, and we've spoken about him on a different stream. He is a carbon copy almost, except I would put that he's better at hitting the scoreboard than Tom.
Yes, please.
Yeah, exactly right. He's playing for GWS's VFL side, and he's going really well. He's 191 centimeters, and we lack some real height in that midfield and the ability to have a bull. So 6 extra months in the gym, if he's still there at that pick, would be fantastic. There is a little bit of doubt. I think he might go sort of 8 to 12 in the draft, depending on what mock draft you look at. But if he somehow slides to us and we have that second pick, I think we'd be crazy not to. So that covers our midfield. A couple of forwards here. I was really big on...
Here's some mail, Reece. Here's some mail.
Here we go. Hello. Brad, you're speaking my language. Yes, please. Jai will be our second pick. Yeah, so I was just about to touch on that. If we do take the second pick, it is probably going to be Jai. We just want to give the fans a few more names to watch out for. So this wouldn't be we're probably going to take Moyle and Newcombe, and good night, everyone. And that would be it. So.
Mate, I'm salivating at the thought of Josh Green and leaving Newcombe to the national draft, like you said, and try and sneak him in with the 4th round pick.
Mate, conspiracy theories, I'm all over it. Let me tell you. Cop that flat out.
Well, there's actually nothing stopping a Jai Newcombe withdrawing, is there? No.
That would be sneaky. Imagine that.
Oh, that, Sydney.
Oh, they'd have a fit.
There we go.
We're rorting the rules while Jai just come back and we'll take you in November. It's okay. Just pay him more at Box Hill. It'll be fine. So the other player that I really had my eye on is Eamon Wilkinson, who's playing in the Sandful. This kid is a pressure animal. If you want an AFL comparison, he used to play for us, and he's playing with Jackson Callow at Norwood. Poppy.
Mm-hmm.
He's quick. He tackles. He hits the score. He hits the scoreboard. Did something remarkable, I think, in round 2. He managed to hit both posts with one kick, which not many can do.
Yeah,
wow. But he got injured, and the report just says long-term leg. So we're not sure of that. But he's one definitely to keep an eye out for in the end of season draft as well. And just the last one for you boys is Cam McLeod. Someone that is expected to go in the draft but not really talked about, and he has been likened to Gunners.
Wow.
193 centimetres. They think he's got elite hands, and he's one of the most sure set shots that they've seen, was one of the draft notes that I had there. So just a couple of names. Yeah, that'd be handy. Gunners, absolute superstar. And if we could have someone half as good, we'd take that in a heartbeat. So there are a few...
We'll bring McAvaney back out of retirement. That sounds delicious.
Absolutely.
That's a great wrap, Reese. Look, Hawks fans, a couple more things before we go. We know about 50% of the fans that watch us on YouTube are not subscribed. It'd be great if you subscribe. If you're enjoying this, please like it, comment, let us know who you think we need or what you're thinking as a result of hearing some of these thoughts during the show. But some of the fans here we go. Better fit, Edwards or Moyle? In a word.
Edwards, if he's available.
Okay. Stengel. In a scenario here.
We are good at rehabilitating
How old is Tom Stengel?
I'm going to take a guess and say 24.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. I'll quickly Google it if we like. This is if you guys want to add, that would be great.
He's got speed, doesn't he? He's got speed. He's very nimble. He's a little goal snake, isn't he? Effectively,
so absolutely. The former Tiger and Crow. He's 22.
Oh, is that all? Wow.
Oh, hello. All right.
That's what we like. All right. So there we go.
There's a spanner in the works. Well
thank
done,
you, Scotty. So, and here's a little bit of hypothetical as well. Josh Kelly. Should he become available?
It all comes down to how much money you pay.
Can we have 6 of him?
Well, High X is on good knowledge here, saying that he's got a big deal in front of him. So I don't know if that's entirely true, but
he does have that trigger clause. He signed a 2-year deal at GWS with I think 6 more, which he can ask for. But if he goes. That'll be. I think those discussions will take place towards the end of the year, and Josh Kelly is a young star, and definitely one to watch for sure.
Yeah. All right, boys. Well, it's been a good wrap. Any other parting thoughts before we wrap it up for tonight? This mid-season draft 2021 for the Hawks, who we need.
Yeah, we just got that one tall, one small. Bit of speed, I think that'll suit us just fine, and just give us a little bit of extra depth moving into next year.
Yep, completely agree. We're probably going to get Ned Moyle and Jai Newcombe, and hopefully, especially in Jai's case, we might be able to see him play some senior footy this year. That'd be fantastic. But they're the 2 favourites, and hopefully some other names mixed in there to keep an eye out on. If you want to watch the mid-season draft, it's on Wednesday. And it's streaming through the AFL website. I'm not sure if Foxtel are doing it, so if you want to catch that to see who the Hawks pick up, feel free.
And so you think we're a post-draft show, I believe, boys? What do you think?
Yep.
To recap on what's happened and our thoughts on who we've picked up and how it all unfolded.
100%. So there's a chance that we could pick up Ned Moyle and possibly Jai Newcombe with our second pick. Seems the likelihood at this point. And, boys, it's been a good night. Thank you, fans, for joining us. And, look, go Hawks. We are building for the future. So, again, subscribe, like, comment away. And, gentlemen, it's been a good night. Thank you very much.
Cheers, boys.
Thanks,
Go
guys.
Hawks.
Thanks,
Go
viewers.
Hawks.